Hello again, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about the short films that we're going to watch this week and the assignments that go along with them. This all started because years ago, we used to watch a full-length movie, The Graduate class, and it was always a bit of a mess because it took 3 periods to watch it. It was difficult to add discussion time after that because some people had missed certain classes, and it was hard to think back to days before when we watched the film. And I was never really happy with it. And then I think in 2012, I went to a film festival of the Oscar-nominated short films in the category of live action, meaning that they're like dramas and comedies rather than being animated or documentaries, which are the 2 other categories. And it was a 2 or 3 hour show, and it was just terrific. And so a lot of them are from that initial one, but I have gone to the festival every year since and have chosen some that are the winners, some that I think are just very teachable. And the only ones that we can look at this year are the ones that are free on YouTube or Vimeo or other websites. We would have watched more of these in class, but if you were going on the band trip, you would have missed half of them anyway. What you need to do is go to the DL Short Films tab. On this page, you need to choose 2 films to watch, and there are 8 choices. And if you like this kind of thing, watch them all. They're terrific. They're all terrific. I've chosen some of the better ones. However, understand that I'm trying to stretch your taste a little bit here, that some of you might not be familiar with these types of movies. Some of them are maybe a little bit more artistic. Some of them are subtitled because they're foreign films, and there isn't much action in any of them. But most of them have a pretty heavy theme to them and purpose. So what you have to understand is that this theme might be pretty subtle at the end. And even some of the plot ideas might be subtle. So it's very important that when you watch these movies, you're doing nothing else but watching them. And if watching movies is something that you like to do with your family, that could be a good idea to watch them on the television as opposed to watching them on your Chromebook, or really avoid watching it on your phone. It's just not the right medium to watch a movie. I know that some of you have to do that sometimes and you're used to watching videos there, but just a larger screen, focusing only on one thing, relaxing and kind of immersing yourself in the movie is really important to be able to capture everything and then to be able to write about it afterwards. When it comes to which ones you choose, please pay attention to my description of the content in the left column over here. That if there's anything in it that is really questionable, I put that there: profanity, drug use, sexual images, things like that. I really don't think these are anything compared to what you probably normally watch in terms of what's in movies today, in terms of even what's in sitcoms that have been coming out in the last few years. And the sexual humor is throughout. And I just don't think that they're anything different than what you're used to. But if you feel that this might be a problem for you, then please contact me, ask me questions, or consider watching specifically the Stutterer, but even that has some language in it. There's a scene where a man is yelling obscenities. Tuba Atlantic is completely clean. There's nothing in that that could be offensive to anyone, I would imagine. Buzkashi Boys as well is pretty innocent. Brotherhood as well. And Acid has a little bit of violence in it, but that's it. But again, I don't think that even Curfew, which is a very heavy film, even that I think isn't anything shocking whatsoever to a contemporary audience. But keep all that in mind. The other thing to consider, though, is that Vimeo is blocked by the district, and they won't remove the block because there's content on there that's just not school appropriate at all. So you can't watch those particular movies on your Chromebooks. You have to watch them elsewhere. The YouTube videos you should be able to watch, and I have at the end of each one where it is. If it's on YouTube, if it's on Vimeo, and so you have to make your decisions accordingly as well. But again, if you enjoy these kinds of movies and none of them are that long, then watch them all. And then you can decide which ones to use for the 2 assignments. The first assignment is the blog. And this one is just a movie review. However, please make sure you follow my instructions on there to summarize it, evaluate it. But this isn't something that should be very technical. Movie reviews aren't about shot angles and details about the cinematography and things like that. So when it comes to all the terminology that we've been using and that we've been studying, you don't want to use a lot of that in there. It's more about things like the acting, the storyline, the writing. You can get in aspects of the cinematography, but probably not the more technical aspects. Things like where it was filmed, some of the imagery that goes along with it. If it is a slice of life that has a lot of local color and throws you into the environment to experience it, those are the kinds of things to talk about. And last, it would be good to get into some analysis of the meaning if you feel that it was impactful or not impactful, and give it a letter grade so that we're all on the same page as to how we're rating it, B- or A+ or whatever. I have this in Google Classroom. That's where you complete it, like a blog. And notice that in that assignment, I have a link to a website that has some similar reviews of a similar length. These are all from the 2019 Oscar shorts, which I walked out on because it was just like so ridiculously violent, and it just was too much, and ended up going to the animated one later on that same day to fix my brain from watching all of these horrifying scenes. And so regardless, if you read the example, it gives you a pretty good model to work from. The second assignment is much more technical. And this one is also in Google Classroom, but I've attached a document with it that you need to fill in and then turn in afterwards. And in the first row, I have an example of each column and what you're trying to put down there. The first is the framing of the shot. Is it a mid shot? Is it a close up? Is it a wide shot? The composition is similar, but if it is not a close up, then what kinds of things are in the background? Because that's something that the director is keeping in mind as well. And then any kind of secondary movement, which is camera movement, if there is any. If there isn't any, then you don't have to put it down. Primary movement is actor movement, including figure expression. So if there's a particular expression on their face, that's something to mention there as well. Try to fill up that space. Sound is the second column. We haven't gotten a chance really to talk about this much, but it's on quiz 3. That is the difference between diegetic and non-diegetic sound. And if you refer to the film packet, which is on the website as well, and I put in the assignment on Google Classroom too, you can open it up there. Diegetic sound is sound that is natural. So everything right now that you're watching is diegetic. If a car goes by or something like that, it's ambient sound that my computer picks up, you hear that. That is natural to hear. If I pound the table, that's diegetic sound. But non-diegetic sound is added, and actually most sound in movies is non-diegetic. So dialogue will usually be filmed on the source by a boom mic hanging over top of the actors, but everything else more or less is added in. You might say, well, what about traffic noise or something like that? Well, they might record the traffic noise that they hear outside if they're filming it on location in New York or something. But just imagine that if you have 15 cuts and different shots in the same scene, you wouldn't be able to use all of the different traffic noises from different shots because it would sound abrupt. It wouldn't flow together. It would change in its sound every shot a little bit. So it's much easier for filmmakers to record the sound separately, and when they're filming, only pick up the characters' voices and then add sounds in later on. I saw an interview involving The Great Gatsby film by Baz Luhrmann, the one that was recently made a few years ago. And during all of the party scenes, the actors had little earbuds in that gave the time to the music. That's it. The music wasn't playing while they were dancing. They were dancing in silence and just trying to keep the rhythm and the time. It's because the music doesn't matter very much. The music gets added in later. There would be no way to, play the music, blast the music during the scene and not have it picked up by the mics that are only supposed to be picking up their voices. And then when you get into the editing room, it would be a total mess because you have different takes, you have different angles, and you're trying to piece it all together with different sound in each one of the takes. It wouldn't be possible. So instead, that gets added in the editing room. So things like footsteps, music obviously gets added to it after. These are all non-diegetic sounds. And then finally, the purpose or the intended effect of the shot. And this is analysis. This is a matter of what you think the director was trying to get across, or the actor, the screenwriter, all of them together trying to get across. It might be something very basic, like the fact that somebody is disappointed in somebody else, or that somebody disagrees with somebody else. It might be really basic like that, or it might be something much deeper that illustrates a change in a character's viewpoint. Back to our website, on this same page on the short films, I have 3 columns here. The first just gives all the content and the information. And by the way, you just hyperlink to all of the movies right here. And then there's an introduction. Please read the introduction so you know what's going on, especially in the foreign films. You need a little bit of background information about the country, the conflict that's in it, whatever. And then there's also a column on what to look for. You may use my descriptions of what to look for the shot analysis that you complete. The shot analysis is, remember, it's very technical, but you can take things from this column and focus only on 5 shots, not 5 scenes, okay? 5 shots for the shot analysis. That's pretty much all you need to work on this week. And I have moved the final due date for the college essay, which is something that you should touch up and improve, but that you definitely want to revisit before you send that in the fall and get more eyes on. Show it to parents, show it to teachers next year, bring it back to me, whatever. But pretty much, if you completed the rough draft and then you go in and you make the changes, you'll get the credit for the final draft. And if anybody needs to stagger assignments, needs a little bit of extra time over next weekend or something like that, please just let me know. I can be flexible, but I try to stagger them so that we don't have too much work at once. Thanks for watching and enjoy the films.